Blood Vow by J.R. Ward. Read for you by Jim Frangione. 1. The Keys, Caldwell, New York. There was a place in Axe's life for masks, whether they were literal and hid your face, or figurative to protect your soul. He was supremely comfortable with camouflage. Knowledge, after all, was power only if it gave you insight into your enemy. If insight was applied to you, he'd rather have a knife to his throat. And everyone was his enemy. Standing in a crowd of over 100 sexually aroused humans, he was ready to feed his dark side. Toss some fresh meat over the chain-link fence of his sex drive and stand back as the meal was consumed, the gnawing hunger briefly satisfied. It never lasted, but that was why he had joined this club. The Keys was a private members-only gig, and there were only 2 rules: no minors, always with consent. And after those conditions were satisfied, you could scratch the itch of whatever sin you wanted. Glory holes, gangbangs, girls on guys. There were rooms for fetishes and pits for fucking and every tie-up, chain down, in the air you could ask for, especially here in the cathedral. Of all the spaces in the sprawling multi-block compound, this was largest and the loftiest, filled with swirls of white smoke, pierced by purple and blue lasers, empty of furniture and fixtures, except for the altar. Only the hardest of the hardcore were allowed in here. And masks were always worn, even on nights when the rest of the club didn't require it. Through the eye holes of his fitted skull plate, Axe looked up, way up, to the altar. It was like a scene out of the Silence of the Lambs, a human body suspended high above the floor, arms outstretched, head tilting to the side, swaths of fabric fanning out like wings all around the torso. The Hannibal Arisons ended there, though. Not a man, a woman. Not clothed, but naked. Not real blood on the flesh, but a viscous wash that fell like rain from the ceiling, hitting her breasts, dripping over her stomach, licking down her thighs so that she glistened under the remote lights. Not dead, but very much alive. "Do you want that?" he was asked from behind. Axe smiled and didn't bother hiding his fangs. None of them knew that he was an actual vampire, and not as in a neo-Victorian Dracula wannabe with cosmetically altered canines, high-heeled boots, and a fake black rinse through his already dark hair. As in the real deal. Different DNA, different traditions and language, different biological imperative that, yes, involved drinking blood from a vampire of the opposite sex. Different sex drive. "Yeah, I'll take her first," he said. As the staff member whistled loudly and put his hand up to summon the rolling scaffolding, a rush tripped and fell over the crowd, excitement building for the first show. And for a split second, Axe considered materializing up there just to freak them all out. Just because he could. Just because he liked